What's up, everybody? Zulu here. It's Wednesday night. We had another good night of keys tonight where we ran our first night where it was basically all, I think we might have run 113, but it was basically all 14s tonight, higher level keys. And we are getting much closer to timing them. We had a few keys where we were doing really well and made one mistake, or, for example, a really challenging boss like Shrine of the Storm on Tyrannical is really, really tough. And we had challenges on the second and third boss. We ended up killing them both, though, and getting some pretty solid loot, but we didn't do it in time, which is fine. I think that's part of what's going to be happening now, and something I was talking to my brother about is that improvement has become much more incremental. It's not like we're going to wake up tomorrow, log into a dungeon, and suddenly time a bunch of plus 18s, right? Like, we're going to have to start eking out seconds. Like, first it's going to be shaving off minutes, but then eventually it's going to be finding a way to shave off seconds of bigger pulls or smaller pulls, or making so that we can get an extra hit or two on the boss. Like, it's going to be a lot harder to log in every day and feel like you're making a lot of progress. It's going to be very, like, minute changes that you make, adjustments to the route, changes in how your team pops, does potions on certain pulls, what potions they use, how to improve, just like basically eke out every little bit of damage, every little bit of healing that you can out of your team to essentially overperform where you are, because that's really what it requires. But I'm proud of the team. I'm happy with it. We did really well tonight with kick order and being able to trade that around between people and being able to go about that in a constructive way where everybody has a say in it. We did much better tonight with designing routes and getting everybody to make sure they reviewed them before we went in, and which polls we were doing. I think some of it's just institutional knowledge, knowing that, oh, hey, we're going to go up on the left and the bottom of the ramp, we're going to pull that pull. Oh, what's in that pull? Well, I have it memorized, right? But not everybody does. So there was also just one point in Shrine of the Storm where I missed two tiny little pulls that don't even factor in my mind. I don't even think of them as pulls. So that's something I'll have to work on as well, is that when something's highlighted on MDT that we're going to pull it, we have to pull everything. So it makes sense. But other than that, like I said, it was a good night. Got some loot for a couple of people. Got my dailies done. Had a long day at work, so was online and was in time to do some dailies and get online and cook. I spent a full hour cooking myself dinner, so it was a nice break, nice change in schedule. We now take an hour break in the middle of practice. For the folks on the team who are on the West Coast, it's really awkward to practice from 7:30 to 11:30 because that's basically, it's 4:30 to 9:30 or 4:30 to 8:30, and so it makes it really awkward for West Coasters to find time to eat dinner because they're either eating really early or really late. So hopefully that 1 hour in the middle will let people clean up, do the dishes, spend time with significant others or whatever it is in that time frame, and then we can hit the second half of practice pretty hard. As far as streaming goes, I'll probably stay online during the break to do dailies and chat with people in chat, since it doesn't make sense to go offline and come back online. So I'll still be eating before practice at between 6:30 and 7:30. I'll cook and eat dinner. That way we can cram in a lot of keys and keep practicing and figuring out ways to get better. But I got to mentally prepare myself for things to get repetitive, for success to be much more difficult to measure, for improvement to become a game of minutia as opposed to big leaps and bounds and big improvements. We're going to have to start to be proud of ourselves for doing the little things. And that's a tough place to be. It's hard to not get frustrated when it feels like you're stuck, or like you're improving things so incrementally that it doesn't necessarily feel like progress. So kind of a rambling vlog tonight, but that's all the stuff that's on my mind. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.